I know this is going to come as a huge shock to everybody. Fani Willis says, I don't have any records, and she will not comply to the open records request, which she lost to Judicial Watch and Tom Fritton when they filed the lawsuit, saying she absolutely must give up the records, all communications with the January 6th committee, and Jack the Ripper Smith, special counsel who's gone after Trump and who was in cahoots with Fani Willis. I've got the entire breakdown for you. Let's get right into it. Just a really quick summary before I get into it. Remember, Fani Willis, who has been getting L after L after L, she got slapped with a court order from the Superior Court of Atlanta, Fulton County, saying that she must go through all her records diligently. I don't know if you guys remember this order right here. I went through this an entire live stream before, and sincerely, the open records, she violated the Open Records Freedom of Information Act. She was also lost back on December 2nd, where Superior Court of Fulton County says she has to give up all communications. I went through this entirely in another stream, but now she's denying. She is denying that she has any record. So let me just break this down for you. This is where we stand right now. Judicial Watch, Fani Willis hides records of communications with January 6th committee, denies existence of any Jack Smith records. If you've been with me for a while, this should come as zero shock to you whatsoever. This is exactly what I predicted would happen, because that's Fani Willis. Is she ever going to do the right thing and actually dismiss the last federal case against President-elect Donald Trump, who won? Because the only reason these cases were brought up was because they wanted to impede him, stop him, imprison him, do anything they can, because they knew they legitimately knew they couldn't actually beat him at the ballot box. Okay, so let's get right into this. I can't wait to get your comments on this as well. Okay, so let me just break this down. You guys know I always bring my notes, and I always make sure that everything is on the up and up. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right here. So just to give an introduction, so Judicial Watch accused DA Fani Willis of withholding non-public documents despite a court order. You'll remember that Ashley Merchant, who we've had on the show as well, and we did a deep dive on her amazing diligence on essentially uncovering that this was all a money grab for Willis. We've been talking about this for a very, very long time. We love Ashley Merchant. This case centers on Willis's communications with special counsel Jack Smith and the House January 6th committee. I've got a gut feeling everything about this, beyond the fact that they were all sham trials, fake Don Juan Rashawn, Alvin Do Nothing Bragg, which thank God Daniel Penny, an American hero, was freed and the jury found a unanimous decision of not guilty. Let me know in the comments down below if you've been following Daniel Penny and you've been following along with us. We've been covering it extensively. What are your thoughts? Is Daniel Penny exoneration, is that a good thing, bad thing? Is that a win for America? Or as BLM, Black Lives Matter, which is a domestic terrorist organization, is that a crime against humanity and an indictment to America's long-standing race issue? I would love to get your thoughts on that. Okay, so a little bit of background. The initial request, Judicial Watch filed a Georgia Open Records Act request in August of 2023. The request sought communications between Willis, Jack Smith, and the January 6th committee. The lawsuit filing, which was Judicial Watch, filed a lawsuit in March of 2024 in Fulton County after the request was denied. Now, it's important to note this. The Open Records Act, the Freedom Information Act, is something that is allotted to every single. She actually has to divulge and disclose all records because she, and I know this is hard for her to believe, is an actual public servant. As a district attorney, she's supposed to be working for the people. She's supposed to be serving the taxpayers of Fulton County. And these open records are actually very simple, very easy. And actually, she's required by law to disclose and divulge them. But she didn't. She refused to. So what did she do? She wasted more taxpayer dollars by having Judicial Watch actually go out and file a lawsuit and take it all the way to the Georgia Supreme Court, which finally said, no, 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 you need to give all this stuff up. You need to give up all communications. And now she's saying she won't comply. Again, wasting taxpayer dollars, wasting much needed resources. The poor citizens of Fulton County have suffered enough with the longest court case in the history of Georgia. The YSL RICO case, which just wrapped up. She's now filing a new motion to go after the rest of YSL RICO, which is nuts, but that's neither here nor there. So the court proceedings, back to this open records denial by Fani Willis. Judicial Watch's allegations claim that Willis's denial of records were likely false. She said, I didn't have any. Pointed to a December 2021 letter from Willis to the January 6th committee seeking collaboration. She actually wrote a letter, and she also met with Kamala Harris before the indictment of President Trump and 18 co-defendants in the sham election interference indictment that she launched. The default judgment. In May of 2024, Judicial Watch requested a default judgment due to Willis's failure to respond. The court declared Willis is in default on April 11th of this year. They ordered Willis to conduct a record search and release responsive, non-exempt records within 5 days. And if you remember very clearly and distinctly, I said on the record, I said unequivocally, she will never, ever comply to that. That is a fact, an FACT. This was her response to the court order. So this is really, really important. She denied having records related to Jack Smith. She claimed documents related to the January 6th committee were legally exempt from disclosure. Here's the biggest question of them all. If you claim you're for the people, District Attorney Fani Willis, if you claim that transparency is what you're all about and that you're here for justice, you're here for truth, why are you not divulging this willfully and voluntarily? Why are you making everybody go through legal gymnastics to try to get you to comply with a very simple request? What are you hiding, DA Fani Willis? Let me see. Could it be all the things that Ashley Merchant uncovered about you and your secret solicitous affair with Nathan American Pie Wade, who was married at the time, and you actually took advantage of forfeiture funds and federal grant money so you could go on vacation, on cruises with said lover American Pie Wade, as well as buying all sorts of ridiculous gadgets, devices, amenities, and luxuries for you and your office criminal cohorts? Could that be the reason? I wonder. She cited exemptions, documents tied to ongoing criminal investigations, which is just basically her way of trying to say, look, I'm hiding a lot of stuff. I don't want you to find this stuff out. So I'm going to use everything in my power to try to convince you that I don't have these. She also said attorney-client privilege and confidential work product, which is hokum. Judicial Watch's reaction was a statement by President Tom Fitton, criticized Willis for withholding records under disingenuous secrecy, which is absolutely true. Confirmed Judicial Watch would challenge the exemptions in court, which is what they did. So Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information Act efforts, they filed multiple lawsuits. I'm just trying to give you everything. I broke down everything in easy to follow terms because I don't want there to be any questions and I don't want there to be any issues moving forward. Hold on a second. Let me make this. Okay, there we go. Filed multiple lawsuits for records tied to Trump investigations. Examples include that February 2024 DOJ secrecy regarding Jack Smith's office staff, January 2024 records on Nathan Wade's appointment as special prosecutor by Willis, as well as October 2023 DOJ's refusal to release records of federal assistance to Willis's investigation. So in conclusion, and I'm also going to tell you what this means going forward, Judicial Watch remains committed to exposing what it views as prosecutorial abuse and lack of transparency in Trump-related investigations. So what does this all mean? the fact that she's denying all of this and saying, I don't have all this stuff, and she's not complying with the court order, what could this mean moving forward? I've labeled this potential legal outcomes that I have researched, and this is what I found. Judicial Watch challenges Willis exemptions in court. Judicial Watch may file a motion arguing that the legal exemptions cited by Willis are invalid or overboard. The court could review whether the exemptions related to ongoing investigations, all that BS that Willis came up with, are legitimately applied. The court could enforce compliance, which is what I think should happen. If the court finds Willis responsible, if the court finds Willis's response insufficient, it could, this is really, really big, impose sanctions on Willis or her office for failing to comply with the court's order, or they could order an independent review of the documents to determine what should be released. So that's really important, because this could really injuriously harm her moving forward as any kind of legal representation of the court. I'm also going to talk to you about what's happening in the disqualification hearing with the Pitbull Sadow and Trump, as well as the Georgia State Senate led by Senator Bill Cowsert. So stick around for that. Appointment of a special master. This could possibly happen. The court may appoint a special master, aka a neutral third party, to review the documents and decide what is legally exempt or should be disclosed. Judicial Watch could also go to a higher court. So if Judicial Watch is dissatisfied with the outcome, they could appeal to the court's decision to a higher court within Georgia's judicial systems. Discovery proceedings. Judicial Watch could also request depositions or subpoenas to gain further information, I hope they do, about the record search process and verify whether Willis's office conducted a thorough review. Now, what kind of implications does this have on the criminal case? If the court determines, this is really big right here, this is what I want to talk about. If the court determines that some of the withheld documents are not exempt, their release could impact related criminal cases such as those involving Trump or his co-defendants. Remember how I said the walls are caving in on Fani Willis? These could be those very walls that we're talking about. Public political pressure, Judicial Watch's litigation and media attention could increase public and political scrutiny in Willis's office, potentially influencing how she handles future requests or prosecutions. Parallel investigations, congressional committee. So this is another thing that I was talking about, which is really, really important. Remember, the House Judiciary Committee, led by our man from Ohio, Jim Jordan, may leverage this case to seek further investigation into Willis's actions or coordination with federal agencies like the DOJ or the J6 committee. So that could be really, really detrimental. Again, I know what some of you might be thinking right now, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Let me get through this. Judicial sanctions or contempt charges. If Willis's office is found to have acted in bad faith, which is 1 billion% what's going on, example, deliberately withholding records or providing false statements, which is all she does, that's her complete MO, the court could impose sanctions or even consider contempt charges. Oh, yeah. You're going down, Fani Willis. You're a nasty, nasty person, not like Professor Nez, which is why I watch him all the time. He's a good guy, smart guy, quite frankly, probably the greatest YouTube channel out there on these topics. I love watching Professor Nez. Thank you, Mr. President. I love you. I'm also going to talk to you about how you can get this original 100% made in the USA merch in just a momento. Okay. Further, Freedom of Information Act litigation. Judicial Watch may initiate additional lawsuits for related records, such as other communications between federal, states, entities concerning Trump investigations. These developments depend on, a lot of stuff. how both Judicial Watch and maybe even Fani Willis's office, how they navigate these legal proceedings and whether the court views Willis's claims of exemptions as legally valid. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Nez, my gosh, how long have we covered this? How long have you been talking about this? When in God's name are they going to actually put this heathen in handcuffs, disbar her, and pursue criminal charges to the fullest extent of the law, which is the right thing to happen? I get it. I know what you're saying. The problem is that she's so embedded, ingrained in the system, having been an elected official, which, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could say about that. And the fact that, one court, Judge McAfee, already found that even though there was an odor of mendacity, he didn't pursue disbarment or further criminal actions. He simply said it's either you or American Pie Wade, and American Pie Wade immediately resigned in 2 seconds. But the good news is this: the more pressure President Trump wants, the mandate on November 5th is a slap in the face, like a metaphorical and quite literal slap in the face to Fani Willis and all of her actions. The fact that Jack Smith's trials have all fallen by the wayside, the fact that fake Don Juan Merchan and Alvin Do Nothing Bragg lost against Daniel Penny, and he indefinitely adjourned the hush money trial, which is a complete and utter miscarriage of justice, as well as Letitia Big Shame James and Judge Gargamel. This is all adding up to her losing in a landslide, quite literally a huge landslide. The only reason, I've said this a million times before, the only reason any of these cases came forth or were brought was for one mission. They knew Kamala, Obama, Soros, the deep state. They all knew they had not a snowball's chance in H of winning this election legitimately. So they tried to do everything they could. They even tried to, yes, assassinate our president, which, by the way, we found Luigi Mangione. What are your thoughts on this really quickly? He was at a McDonald's. Supposedly he's Ivy League, super educated, which I did a whole video on that. The bedrock for all of these woke ideologies. He's already being arraigned. He's already being extradited to New York City. Why is it that we were able to find this guy in less than a week, know everything about him, understand who he is, book him, charge him, extradite him? But to this day, my fellow Americans, we still have no clue about Trump's assassination. We still have no clue about Thomas Matthew Crooks. Where is he? What are they doing with him? We still have no clue about the results and findings of Director Ronald Rowe's internal investigation into the happenings and the gross negligence and failure of that day of infamy, July 13th. Ask yourself those serious, serious questions. I'm hoping with Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Trump and the mandate, we're going to get some serious answers, and I think we're going to get the Diddy files, we're going to get the Epstein client list. America's ready to win like we've never won before. So I throw this off to you. I can't wait to get your thoughts on everything that we talked about. What do you think is going to happen to Fani Willis? What do you think the courts are going to do? What do you think is going to end up happening to this case, which, by the way, we're literally minutes, if not just a few days away of finding out the results of the oral arguments, which was canceled unceremoniously and abruptly by the appellate court in Georgia. What's going to happen next? It seems like we're only moments away of this entire case, the last federal case against Trump, being dismissed altogether. I can't wait to get your thoughts. You know you got to stay tuned, so make sure you stick around. Make sure you sign up for our free newsletter in the pinned comment, show notes, and description. If you want the best 100% made in the USA merch, we got hats, hoodies just in time for Christmas. We got mugs, we got teacups, we got backpacks, we got all sorts of stuff. Pinned comment, show notes, or just go to professornez.com/merch. Get your family something unique for Christmas, just once, for crying out loud. Stop going to crappy places like Walmart. Get them something original made in the US of A. I wear this thing all the time. I love it. My wife can't stand it, but I do. So let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear from you. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here. Tap my face right there to subscribe and follow. It's absolutely free. And as always, may God bless you and may God bless the USA. I'll see you soon.